Hello, everyone. I'm Michael DeCrose, founder and CEO of Wild Warrior Nutrition. Um, you've probably seen this man in all of our videos, or not all of them, but quite a bit. He's usually shirtless. Kevin's been with us for a long time. He's been my chief fitness consultant for almost a decade now. We're really grateful for him, but we wanted you to come on today, Kevin, because we get a lot of questions from people asking who you are, what your story is, how old you are, what you eat. Sometimes things that we don't cover in videos that maybe we should. So I thought, why not we start answering those questions together as they come up. So welcome. I don't know if first you want to just introduce yourself to everyone and how you got into fitness.
Well, first of all, thank you. And it has been a pleasure working for you for all these years and knowing you on a personal level too. We got to hang out a few times out in Denver, and I'm overdue for a trip back there because it's awesome. It's one of my favorite cities, actually. And yes, it is true. I am often shirtless in the videos, usually in the summertime. In the winter, not so much because it's like 80 below zero here in Park City, Utah. But I like to expose my body to the sun every chance I get. So it's not necessarily, hey, look at me, I'm ripped. It's more like I'm getting vitamin D at the same time. And I might as well just jump right into the segue right now of where my philosophy lies. And it is do everything you possibly can to stay as fit and ripped as possible as you age. That has always been my motto. It was all the way back when I turned 40. I remember people come up to me and say, dude, you're shredded. Dude, you're ripped. What do you do? What do you do? You do CrossFit, you do steroids, you do this and that. And first of all, I'd like to set the stage by saying I do not do steroids. I don't do HGH. I don't do peptides. I don't do anything that's illegal or on the borderline of sketchy or illegal. And everything I do is completely 100% all natural. And that's one of the things I pride myself in, and I always have, and I always will, and I continually will. And that's actually what brought me to you originally, Mike, when I found pine pollen years ago. Yeah. I wasn't doing searches. I was just on Facebook noodling around one day, and I saw this ad pop up or something for pine pollen. And it was your brand. And I looked at it, and you were called, what was the name of your brand back then?
We originally were Pine Pollen Superfoods because that's all we sold for the first 4 years.
Yeah, it was Pine Pollen Superfoods came up, and I look at it, I read about it, and then I geeked out on it for like 2 hours and at one afternoon. And I did research on your site and then further research as well. And I was like, how have I not heard of this pine pollen stuff? And I always tell people, go as natural as you can, as long as you can, until you're absolutely forced to cross that threshold and go into Western ways of thinking, which would be Western medicine. And that would be like, you absolutely know for a fact your testosterone is completely low, your HGH is way off. Then maybe, you know, if you're not sleeping, you're always in a bad mood, you have no sex drive, all these different things, then maybe you want to jump into visiting a doctor that can try to remedy your hormone imbalances and so on and try to get you back into normal. But, you know, I have various philosophies in life, and one of them is stay as ripped as you can, as long as you can, and as fit as you can, as long as you can. And that's always been my thing. But also try to stay as alternative and natural as possible, as long as you possibly can, until you're forced to cross that line and go into the Western ways of thinking. And when I say Western ways of thinking, I don't mean that in any derogatory sense. I mean, there is a time and place for doctors. I'm friends with a lot of doctors. I have clients who are doctors. I have for a long time. And I understand both sides of the coin of both philosophies. I will say this, though. I have known a lot of doctors in the past that have a God complex and an ego complex, and I don't like that. Mm-hmm. And if doctors are open-minded and they're nice people, that's great. And they're the ones I resonate with most and I gravitate toward. I do feel there's a place and a time for both sides. Alternative medicine, all natural, and Western medicine, if you will, and pharmaceutical, even if you have to go down that road. But always try to go as natural as possible. So I found the pine pollen, I researched it, and I'm like, I want to add this to my supplement repertoire. So I started using it, and it wasn't like I felt, you know, bad, like my testosterone was off or hormones were off or I was sleep deprived or any of that stuff. I'm always looking for like the next big thing, and I experiment with things, then I report back through the medium of videos and stuff. So when I started using it, I did notice an uptick in my recoveries, in my workout performance, in my, you know, muscle strength, like the thickness of my muscles and the hardness of them as well, like all the things that guys want, right? And it's not an ego thing. It's just like a personal thing for me. So that's when I reached out to you and I said, hey, man, are you looking for someone to do some videos and help? And you're like, yeah, I'd love to do that. And then that's when we started working together. And it's been great ever since. And I've gotten a lot of my clients using Pine Pollen. I've had a lot of positive reviews on it and everything, and it's great. But it just landed with right in line with everything that I have always done with myself and my body. And I've been working out seriously for probably ever since I was about 5 years old, I would say. My dad was in the Army. He was militant. And he used to show me and my brother exercises he used to do back in history. I call it history, but when he was in the Army, he had different names for a lot of exercises too. Like burpees that people think are burpees are not actually burpees. A burpee and a squat thrust are two different things. A squat thrust is when you go down on the ground, you kick your legs back and you stand back up and you go back down. An actual burpee, you go down, you kick your legs back, you do a push-up, you come up, and then you jump in the air. That's a full burpee. But everyone just calls everything burpees, but there's two differences there. And then what people know as jumping jacks are not actually jumping jacks. They're called side straddle hops or side straddle vaults. And there are various exercises that people think, like a plank is called a front leaning rest position, and a reverse plank is a reverse leaning rest, and a side plank is a side leaning rest. And I learned all this stuff at a young age, and I started to apply it at a young age. And when you start working out when you're young and you continue that through adulthood, you're able to stay in really good shape longer. That's why I can't enforce this rule enough. Get your kids active. Make sure that they're doing exercise. You're a great spokesmodel for this, Mike, because I know your kids play baseball and you're very strict about them being active and everything. And for all you people out there that have young kids, make sure to get them active at a young age. And once they get up into their 20s and 30s and everything, they adopt those habits at a young age. It's so much easier to maintain it when you get older, and you help prevent disease really well and really easy when you get that itch and that bug ingrained into the kids' brains at a young age. So for me, it started way back then. As I got older, I just became enamored with health and wellness and fitness, biohacking, longevity, reversing the aging process, moving gracefully, aging gracefully, and any kind of additional tool I can add to my belt, regardless if it is through supplementation or diet or fitness, I will do it and I will jump on it in a split second. So that's when I found the Pine Pollen, and there's a whole cocktail of different things I use, because I also do fasting. I do time restricted eating. A lot of you that have seen the videos, you probably hear me talk about fasting a lot. Like that video I just shot on fasting for abs, for example. And there's no joke. It's like, there are many ways you can try to sculpt your abs and eat 6 meals a day, 8 meals a day, whatever the typical bodybuilding mantra is. But I'll tell you right now, nothing peels away fat faster in the body, and especially in the midsection, than fasting. And if you can pull off something as simple as time-restricted eating every day, where you're fasting for 14 to 16 hours a day, and you finish eating early in the evening, 5 or 6 p.m., 6 at the absolute latest. I would suggest finishing at 4 or 5 p.m. in the afternoon to get the most optimal fat-burning results, and then work out in the morning in a fasted state every single day. That system right there alone will be a game changer for all of you out there listening.
Yeah.
And
so maybe, sorry, Kevin, I'll say maybe we should back up and go through like, so for everyone knows, Kevin's over 50 years old, right?
I'm 51. Yes.
51. Okay. You're 10 years older than I am. Maybe we could start with fasting and then go through some of the things that you do on a routine basis. Because, Brian Johnson, David Pascoe, a bunch of these Rejuvenation Olympics people get a lot of credit, but there are a lot of people out there like you that look, I think, better or in better shape and look just as young that aren't participating in that don't get a lot of exposure. So maybe we could go through some of that stuff, and you provide tips along the way for how folks, as they get older, can adopt these things. So like fasting is one of them. I'll just turn it over to you.
Okay. Well, I'd also like to preface that those guys, the Bill Pascoe, not Bill, whatever his name is.
David. Yeah.
David Pascoe, and like those other guys in the longevity Olympics, more power to them. My hat goes off to them. It takes incredible discipline and everything to do. However, everyone out there listening, just know this. Those guys spend probably 8 to 12 hours a day working on their longevity. It is hard to have a functional life. It is hard to have a wife, a girlfriend, a significant other, kids, soccer games, baseball games with your family, going to the movies. It's like hard to do all that stuff when you go that deep into the minutia. And those guys are spending, I read about this online, some of them are spending 30 to 50 grand a year on their supplements that they do. And they have it listed what they take. And I'm telling you, the list is like this long. And my list is pretty long because I only eat 1 to 2 meals a day. And when you're doing fasting, you have to make sure to get all the nutrients you need and all that kind of stuff to maintain your body. But mine compared to theirs is paled in comparison. And I'm telling you right now, you don't need to spend 30 to 50 grand a year. You really don't have to spend a dime if you do things correctly. So let me just run you through quickly what my schedule, if you will, or my whole spiel looks like. So I finish eating, best case scenario, between 4 and 5 p.m. every day. And that's meal number 2. My first meal, I'll break my fast at somewhere between 10 and 11 o'clock in the morning. So I'm eating usually in a 7 to 8 hour window. My morning hours are completely fasted no matter what the situation is. I either get up early and I go train a few clients and then I work out, or I work out first and then I train several clients, then I break my fast if I have time to do it. And this past week, there were a couple of days where I didn't have time because my schedule was so busy. I woke up, went to the gym, worked out, trained like 4 clients. Before I knew it, it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm like, I'm not even going to eat. I'm just going to push it to dinner and I'll eat once. And then I ate like 3 in the afternoon. I had 1 meal. And then when I have the 1 meal or the 2 meals, I make sure to get all my nutrients in that meal. So if like today, I'll give you an example of what I just broke my fast with. I had cottage cheese, Greek yogurt, all organic, by the way. And then I put all of my fixins in it. I put in berries, strawberries, blueberries. What else did I have in there? Goji berries. And then I had cranberries. I put all those in the bowl. Then I had pine pollen in there, maca, protein powder. I have this special protein powder I have with that has collagen in it as well. And then I put in some nuts and seeds, some cinnamon, some black pepper, freshly ground ginger, freshly ground turmeric, and apple cider vinegar. And then I blended. Oh, and I also use creatine as well. Creatine powder, and I use Mucuna pruriens, maca. I put a greens powder in there, and I have Cistanch as well in pill form. So I blend all that together, and I make this big bowl of mush. And that's my first meal. And as you can see, that is a really nutrient-packed meal. I'm getting a good amount of protein, and I put psyllium powder in there as well for extra fiber. Fiber, I think, is really important, and not enough people talk about it. So I have a good amount of protein. I have a good amount of complex carbs in there, and I've got all of my nutrients in there that help balance hormones. They're all plant-based, all natural. Nothing in there is hokey or, there's no aspartame, potassium, or artificial colors or sweeteners, any of that crap that I don't like. It's all completely clean. That's my first meal of the day right there. Nutrient-packed, nutrient-dense, bang, I'm off to the races. And I feel like I'm the shot out of a cannon right now after eating that meal. That was meal number 1. And then meal number 2, I'll eat probably between 3 and 5 today. It depends on what we're doing and if we're going to be active or outside or whatever. And I'll have something like a salmon steak that's baked with a huge salad and a side of vegetables. And then sometimes I'll have like sourdough bread with it as well. And then I'll have, I like these keto treats that I get from a couple different companies that are all natural and clean, and they have a negligible effect on your blood sugar levels because I have a sweet tooth and I need to have dessert. So I'll have some chocolate, or I found these donuts that are high protein donuts, all natural, all clean. I've been eating those. And I'll have a little bit of dessert with my meal as well. And that second meal, I try to make it bigger than my first because I'm going to be finishing at, say, 5 o'clock, and I'm not going to work out till 7 o'clock in the morning tomorrow. So I'll have 14 hours of good, solid fasting under my belt before I get to the gym, and I'm going to be raring to go. My stomach's going to be empty. I'm going to drink some water. I'm going to hit my workout hard. It's not going to feel like there's an elephant standing on my chest or stomach when I'm working out. I'm not going to feel like there's a bowling ball on my stomach. I'm going to be in pure fat burning mode at that point, and it's going to be on like Donkey Kong. HGH levels are going to be high. Insulin's going to be low. I'm going to be in a perfect fat burning mode, and my body's going to be ready for muscle building and muscle preservation. So I rinse and repeat that sequence every single day, basically. And then if I do a periodic fast once a month, which I used to do for 2 days, 2 to 5 days, actually, then I'm off to the races there too. Then I just drink water and I have some sea salt during the fasting period, and that's it. And then I do the rebuild right after it. So that's kind of my deal.
Okay. And what don't you eat?
I don't eat blooming onions. I don't eat I don't eat fast food. I haven't been to a fast food restaurant since 2002. So how many years is that? 22 years? I haven't gone to a fast food, or I haven't supported them. I very, very rarely eat cold cuts. Sometimes we'll get organic turkey sliced over at Whole Foods, but very rarely. White bread, barely at all. White rice, the only time I have white rice is when it's sushi rice. When I get sushi from the supermarket, we get once a month maybe. What else do I not eat? I don't drink a lot of alcohol. I barely drink alcohol, very seldomly. I had like 2 ounces of wine with my significant other a couple weeks ago. And that was the first alcohol I drank in months. I can't remember the last time I had like voluntarily, I think Christmas last year was the last time I had like a full glass of wine or something like that. So alcohol, I barely drink any of that. White bread, I barely drink it. Pasta, I have sparingly. And I don't do, like I said, I don't do fast food. That's the main things. Otherwise, everything else on the table, really.
No, you just said all the things that I'm forced sometimes into eating just because we're out with kids' sports and stuff, and they're so picky. We try to enforce healthy diet, and I try to teach them the things that we preach to others, but sometimes it's unavoidable.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so your discipline's off the charts, especially with the alcohol, because it's such a normalized thing, especially for middle-aged people, socializing, work functions. I mean, you name it. Most people can't control that and do it just in moderation like you do.
It is hard, and I give this advice to everyone. If you're going to drink, try to do it in the daylight hours. Try to finish it before 6 p.m. and always drink your alcohol with your meals. So if you need to have your glass of beer or your bottle of beer at night or your glass of wine, don't drink it at 10 o'clock while you're watching Monday Night Football, and because it's going to lead to 2 and 3, and your inhibitions are down, and you're tired, and like, oh, I want more, I want more. Oh, it's going to help me sleep. Alcohol does not help you sleep. It puts you to sleep, but it's fake sleep, I call it. Mm-hmm. It disturbs your hormones so much that you never get into a REM cycle, and it screws up your HGH levels and your testosterone levels, slams them both into the woodshed, and it does not help you at all sleep. It puts you to sleep. That's all it does. Nothing derails a body faster and more effectively than drinking alcohol. So if you want to get fat for some weird reason, especially in your midsection, go ahead and start drinking and drink late at night. All these people that go out 10 o'clock at night on Fridays to go watch a band and they have 6, 7 beers, they end up getting starving at 1 o'clock in the morning because their inhibitions are down, the hormones are off, ghrelin gets spiked, which is your hunger stimulating hormone. And then you just throw caution to the wind because you don't want to have a organic kale salad with organic chicken breast at 1 in the morning. No, you want pancakes and sausage and home fries and French toast and potato chips and ice cream. That's what your body wants and your mind wants, because your mind isn't quite there. You're all over the place. And you scarf all that food down, and you just crushed about 1,600 calories of alcohol in conjunction with 3,000 calories of junk food at 1 o'clock in the morning when your metabolism is slow and your organs want to shut down and go to sleep. So just think of the effect that has on your body.
Oh,
weight gain.
Yeah, I know firsthand. When I was in college, I was about 15 pounds heavier than I am now, and it was solid fat, and it was just Keystone Light, Taco Bell, and KFC. Those were 3 right by our house. Mm-hmm. So drink a 30-pack, then walk to Taco Bell and load up before they close. Almost every night.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Okay, so outside of diet, maybe you could take us through what your weekly workout routine looks like, and while you do that, if you could discuss how that's changed as you've gotten older. I know, like the vast majority of the people that follow our channel and buy from us are that 30 to 55 age range. Mm-hmm. Really curious about how to work out and maintain themselves while their metabolism slows down and things change.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the metabolism slowing down rule can be fooled and can be tricked. I think that's overrated a little bit. And it's not as, the sentence isn't as bad as it sounds that the experts want you to believe. And same thing goes with the testosterone starts dipping after age 30 and you start turning into a mush bucket. I don't think that's as true as everyone's out there saying it is. And the reason why it seems to be true is because people believe it. You're ingrained to believe things at a young age because you don't know any better. You've been told this, that, and the other. And as you get older, well, first of all, let me dial my workouts back a little bit. I'm in better shape now probably than I've ever been in my life, even when I was like 21, 22 years old, because I have more knowledge now. You gain more knowledge the older you get, between the years of 30 and 50. And every single year that goes by, the heavy bench presses and the heavy deadlifts and the heavy back squats with a barbell on your back, they become more arduous. And you're just like, why am I even doing this? Why am I trying to outgun everybody and lift double my body weight? It doesn't make sense to me. And it has not made sense to any of the clients that I've trained as well that are in that age group. When they come to me and report back and say, oh, my elbow hurts, my knee is constantly in pain, my back hurts and everything else, I ask them how they've been training, and they're like, well, I do heavy this and heavy this and heavy this. And I do understand the importance of strength training as you age. Yes, it's absolutely critically important. All the experts say it, and all the doctors. Dr. Rhonda Patrick is a big one. for example, that's on heavy weight training and stuff like that, as you age, to maintain muscle. Muscle's the biggest organ in the body. It helps with longevity. It helps with burning fat. We all know what it does. But the thing is, you don't have to lift 1,000,000 pounds. You just have to you just have to incorporate strength training into your workouts at least twice a week. And if it's all body weight and you're at home and you have a pull-up bar and you just want to do push-ups and pull-ups and dips and squats, lunges, the list goes on and on, that's great. As long as you're doing strength training, your body doesn't know the difference between your body weight or dumbbells or kettlebells or anything like that, or resistance bands. As long as you're doing strength training, that's the most important thing. And as you get older, you want to start shifting your focus to longevity and brain function. I'm huge proponent on improving brain function through the medium of exercise. And that's where my workouts have slowly transitioned over the years to more of 3-dimensional and functional training. And if you've seen any of my videos out there with kettlebells especially, where I'm doing these cross-body patterns where I do like a circular snatch and then I turn and I do something on this side of my body and I do like a windmill and then I do something on the other side and I'm doing like a snatch and a clean at the same time, or like exercises like that where you're doing multiple things at once, where your brain has to be highly engaged. That is what you should focus on. And you should focus on 3-dimensional movements where you're going in all different planes with the body, because those kind of exercises are going to help you maintain muscle. They're going to build your core in a way that nothing else will. They're going to improve your brain function, and they're going to allow you to age more gracefully, because you're going to be able to do all the things you love outside the gym with more grace and ease, and they're going to prevent you from having falls and having spills and losing your balance. And we've all had probably 75% of the people watching out there have had a relative or a grandparent who broke their hip growing up. My grandmother broke her hip. She was walking into church one day back in 1988. And she didn't, when older adults break their hip, it's not the fall that breaks the hip. The fall is the result of the break. They trip on something, on a rug, or she tripped on a, whatever that thing is called inside the doorway there, that little silver thing. She tripped on that, broke her hip, lost her balance, and then fell. And usually the problem is they don't have the balance to maintain their balance, because that prevents them from falling in the first place. And their bones become fragile if they don't have the correct dieting or strength training protocol going up to that point. So if you do strength training and you eat clean and you do some fasting and you keep your body as non-toxic as possible, you will keep your bones strong. And if you do 3-dimensional movements and you're walking down a sidewalk in the winter and you slip on ice, you're going to be able to correct yourself and not fall at all.
Yeah.
So you should start thinking about, what can I do to make my body as fit and spry as possible, be balanced, be flexible, prevent falls, have good brain function, and be happy all the live long day as I age, as I go past 30 and 40 and 50 down the road. So that's where my attention is. And that has worked out fantastic for me. And I still do high intensity training. I throw down like no one else. And people say it to me in the gym all the time. They're like, dude, I see you working out down there and I'd love to train with you, but you look too intense for me.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Yeah. It's, yeah, I think the key for me is making sure I don't lift super heavy anymore either. I have no interest in PRs, mostly because I don't want to injure myself and I have some existing injuries. But if I send a loud enough signal to my body, I could do that. I can get a very effective workout without pushing a lot of weight, doing high repetitions, isometrics, slow tempo reps. There's a lot of ways you can manipulate things to get a similar signal to your body to grow and repair without having to, be a power lifter.
Yeah, that was a good point you brought up. I was going to bring it up. The slow and controlled tempo. I did a video on that a couple months ago. If y'all haven't seen that one, make sure to go to our YouTube page and look it up. And dude, I'm telling you, you do like 5 reps of really slow push-ups. Like you're counting to 10 on the way down and 10 on the way up, eccentric and concentric force. Holy smoke. You do 5 sets of 5 reps of that and your workout's done. You're finished.
Oh yeah, it feels like you're lifting, 200 pounds and you're just lifting your body weight.
Yeah, it's incredible. There's so many tricks and licks and hacks out there that you can do to manipulate the overload and the tempos and all that stuff, that there's just no excuse for not giving it a try to build muscle with.
Yeah. So next topic, I know that the one that you've already kind of touched on, but I know that personally you're super passionate about is fasting. I think a lot of people have a fear of skipping meals. They don't know how to do it, where to start. So maybe, just so for those, Kevin is actually featured in Fasting, the documentary. I highly recommend you. It's by Doug Orchard Films. Go out and watch it. You can watch it on YouTube for like $1.99. Kevin is
It's on
in that
Amazon.
movie. Yeah,
it's on
so
Amazon too.
we'll let you talk, Kevin, but I just wanted to plug that for you. If you want to see Kevin in this movie and learn more about it, that's a great resource. But yeah.
Well, like I was saying before, when I was talking about my regular schedule, time restricted eating every day. Like in an ideal world, what I used to do is 16 hours a day, 2 meals, and then once a month I would do a 48-hour fast. And then I did quarterly, I would do a longer periodic fast, and I was doing 4 to 5 day fasts for quite a bit of time, probably 2 years in a row, once every quarter, and then time restricted eating in between, and then a 2-day fast once a month. If you really want to reverse the aging process and hit autophagy and flip some switches in your body and become like superhuman, then you need to adopt a similar strategy that I just described. That is pretty intense. That I call it aggressive. That's an aggressive approach in fasting. I'm talking if you really want to flip switches and you want to prevent disease and you want to, autophagy is a state where your body starts breaking down bad cells in your system that often clump together. You may know them as free radicals or rogue cells. You have this thing called cell turnover that's always happening in your body, where old cells are being manipulated or utilized for energy during autophagy. And when your good cells are working fine, that's great. When they're not working fine, you want to make them work fine. And through the medium of fasting, you can make that happen. Your immunity goes to the roof. Your brain function goes to the roof. Your ability to concentrate, to see. My eyes get really white when I do longer fasts. You'll notice like your gums remodel. If any of you out there have receding gum lines or anything like that, which commonly happens with adults, anytime I've done a periodic fast, my gums just feel amazing. And your tongue, like all of your taste buds, the cells in your tongue repopulate, and they basically regrow. And the bacteria in your stomach regrows and repopulates. I've worked with a lot of people that had stomach issues. I had them start doing time-restricted eating and then plugging in 24-hour fasts once or twice per week for a couple months. And these people have gone to doctors for years who couldn't figure out what was wrong with them. And they've given them every trick and lick in the book, more pharmaceuticals, everything. And I've gotten those people into a place where they feel amazing. Well, I have a friend in town here, his wife I worked with, and she swears by time-restricted eating now. She will not eat past like 6 o'clock at night. She eats like between 1 and 6. She'll have like a small meal and like a bigger meal, and that's it. And she swears that it has cured her stomach issues that she has battled for 30 plus years and seen every doctor and specialist in the world who couldn't do a thing for it.
Well, it's just because most people gas out their digestive system with basically eating all day long. I mean, people have their 3 meals. I mean, at work, I watch people, they'll eat their breakfast, 20 minutes later, they're having a snack, and then they're drinking coffee with cream and sugar in it. And then they have their lunch, and they have their afternoon snack, then they have their dinner, and then they have their evening snack. They never stop eating long enough for their body to process it. And then they wonder why they're bloated and gassy and feel like crap.
Yeah. Your body is either detoxing or it's being clogged with food. So you're either clogging or detoxing, one or the other. Those are your options. And all the things I just talked about are highly aggressive, like I said, and that's like high level advanced fasting. So to all of the, just the daily people out there listening, I'm not telling you to do all that. I'm saying if you really want to flip switches and you've been suffering from some kind of stomach issue or psoriasis or like any of these conditions that doctors can't fix or whatever, then you might want to go down that road ultimately. But for all of you, you want to start at the base level. And some of you are accustomed to eating 6 meals a day, 8 meals a day, whatever. I think that's a bunch of nonsense. I used to be one of those people years ago. I had to have 6 meals a day and a gallon of water a day. That was my mantra. Had to, or I wouldn't be able to function mentally. And yes, it works to a degree, but again, you don't give your body enough time to rest, to allow your organs to rest and your joints to rest and your muscles to truly rest. And if you were to fast and work on fixing your gut and building good gut bacteria, when you eat only 1 or 2 meals a day, that food is going to be highly beneficial to your body, and you're going to be able to break it down better if you get your gut in good shape. So I focus on gut health as well. And I do that by eating prebiotic foods and beverages and probiotic foods and beverages, which include, but are not limited to, asparagus, edamame, all of your onion family. So garlic, onions, leeks, green onions, those kind of things. Oatmeal, apples, bananas. All these things have prebiotics in them. Artichokes, prebiotics. So you want to make sure you get prebiotics in your diet. Then you want to get probiotics in your diet. sauerkraut, kimchi, tempeh, kombucha, kefir, stuff like that. You combine both of those, you eat in a fasted, or you work out in a fasted state, try to trigger 1 or 2 24-hour fasts even per month. It's going to be beneficial. After 24 hours, your gut bacteria starts to repopulate, and you get a massive stem cell dump in your gut, making your gut bacteria improve and be more beneficial when it comes to digestion of foods. So if you get your body primed to digest food well, you don't need to eat 6 to 8 meals a day. And I guarantee you, these muscle heads and bodybuilders out there that are huge and jacked, who eat 6 to 8 meals a day, they're probably not even breaking down half that food. The body doesn't have a chance to. It doesn't have time.
Well, and let's just point out that people who look like they've stretched the genetic abilities of the human body are typically cheating.
Yeah.
They don't look natural. Like being in great shape, amazing, and healthy looks more like you and me, not the guy who's 280 pounds and 5'7". I mean, that guy is doing something different. And don't his advice about follow his workout plan and everything, it's all crap, because they're getting a lot of chemical support, and that's what causes those things. I hate when people say, well, they comment on our videos and say, well, you and Kevin aren't even ripped, and neither's Jim, and you guys are not big. And it's like, yeah, because we don't, this is what normal strength training does to your body. And we don't take roids like Sam Sulian or whoever his name is. It's real popular right now.
Sulik, yeah.
Sulik, dude, come on. You're on stuff. It's not his workout routine. It's not his diet. It's not his protein shakes. Let's just be honest.
And he brags about it.
Yeah.
He boasts about being on steroids, and we're not even lying.
Yeah. So, I mean, not to go on a side rant there, but something you said there, it just triggered me. But
yeah.
But another crazy comment we get for fasting, though, that I wanted you to touch on. When you post fasting videos, a lot of people always ask, can I drink juice? And maybe you could explain the difference between a juice fast and a real fast, and why you can't even, have carrot juice every day while you're on a fast.
Mm-hmm. I don't call it juice fasting, because fasting and juicing are two separate categories. It's like saying barbell and kettlebell. Are they the same tool? No, not even close. Kettlebell, you can do all these things. Barbell, you can do those things. Juicing is one thing. Fasting is another thing. If you're juicing, that's fine, but don't call it fasting. Just say, I'm juicing, or I'm following a juicing diet. I'm not following a juice fast. Anytime you do juice, it's a highly, don't take this in a negative way, but it's a highly processed process, because you're processing it. You're putting kale, what do you put in there? Kale, parsley, celery, cucumber, baby spinach, and then a green apple, and the carrots in there, and you're blending it to a pulp, and then you're drinking it, and you're doing that 3 times a day for 30 days in a row, and you're walking around smiling and shiny, and your skin is glowing, and you're happy, and you're saying, I just did a 30-day juice fast, and you put your hands on your sides like Superman, and you look out in the sky. You didn't do a juice fast. You did a juice diet. Your glycogen went up, insulin went up, fast was over. After the 3rd sip of that juice, your fast is over. There's no more fasting. Anything that's going to interrupt or disturb your blood sugar levels or raise them is going to bump you out of the fast. And you may have low calories, and you may get a lot of nutrients, and you may lose a ton of weight, and that's all fine and dandy. That's just basically like it's a glorified eating clean diet, where you, instead of eating a salad, you're having it in the form of a juice.
Yeah, it's a detox, or it's like you said, it's a detox. It's not a fast. Fasting is something. Fasting does detox you, but it's completely different. Complete absence of food.
Totally different.
Yeah.
And another thing is, I meant to mention this earlier. If you are looking to get into fasting for the first time and get on the ground floor, literally all you need to do is 12 hours of fasting a day, 3 meals, no snacks in between, and try to finish by no later than 6 p.m. at night. So if you eat at like 8 and 12 and 5, and you're done by 6, you're good to go. So 12 hours is your starting playing field. You'll start scratching the surface of benefits at 12 hours, and then you just get used to it. When that becomes easy, you increase it to 13 hours. Usually it takes 2 to 4 weeks for that to happen. And then when that gets easy, you increase it to 14, and then 15, and then 16. And before you know it, holy cow, I'm only eating 2 meals a day. I feel good. My energy's going up. And the longer you increase these fasts, you're going to start feeling the benefits kicking in, and that's going to give you the motivation to stay on course. And then when you get to a point where you're doing like 16, 18 hours a day and 1 to 2 meals a day, you might say, oh, I want to try doing 48 hours. And if you can get to 24 hours of fasting, you can most guaranteed get to 48 because your appetite will start going down, your energy will start going up, your brain function will start going up, and you're going to start feeling really good. And you'll be like, oh, that's no problem. All I got to do is sleep tonight, and then I could eat in the evening, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So just get to the point where you can do a 24-hour fast, and then it's all cake from there. It really is. No pun intended.
No, not at all. We are getting pretty close to time. We want to make these a regular thing, so we don't need to cover everything under the sun today. But since this is the first time, being formally introduced to the audience on a personal level, maybe there's just you could tell people where they could follow you, because you do a lot, you post a lot outside of just what appears on our channel.
Mm-hmm. I'm on all the social media extensions: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all of those. Just look up Fasting for Fitness or look up Kevin David Rail. That's easy. I'm easy to find.
We'll add your handles in the description of the video once it goes up.
Okay,
so
cool.
You can always click there. But yeah, thanks, Kevin, for taking time on a Friday to come and hang out with me. Appreciate it. Like I said, I can't thank you enough for being a part of our business and helping us to promote healthy living, especially to older guys who are, trying to get back into shape after raising kids and having a career for 10, 15 years and waking up out of shape.
Mm-hmm.
You're one of the best role models I've ever met as far as living what you preach and looking at it. And that's why I'd prefer you're shirtless in all of our videos, because I think that helps people see that, hey, this works. It's not just you ranting, about something. You don't need us to go through all the peer-reviewed research like Andrew Huberman. Like, for me, yeah, if you want to go to that level, you can read how it works. But if you can see the results, I mean, that speaks for themselves. Is it going to work for everybody? No, but I think you're proof that if you do these things, you'll look a lot different at 50 than most people do.
Yep, I appreciate all that, and you're absolutely correct. And just know that it just takes one step at a time and one little small change, weekly even, not even daily, and just stick with that change for a week, see how you feel, and then add another change the following week, and just keep on going gradually, small, small, small. And within literally a short amount of time, 3 to 6 months, you can completely transform your whole mind and your body and your attitude in a short amount of time. And all it takes is a little bit of fasting, a little bit of kettlebells, a little bit of three-dimensional movement, and you're going to be well on your way. So keep following along all the videos and stuff we do, because we try to put really good content out there, and everything that's we do is solid as a rock. It's not fake. We don't try to piggyback off of studies and everything. For every study there is out there that someone shoves in my face, I could find one that debunks it. So be very careful about the studies you find. Well, I heard this from Dr. Huberman. I heard this from blah, 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 some guy that was on Joe Rogan and blah, blah, blah. I hear that all the time from people. I'm like, that's great. But the vegans come to me and hand studies to me all the time and saying, oh, Dr. Michael Greger said blah, 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 blah. I'm like, oh, that's great. Well, Dr. Chris Kresser said something else. And he said, oh, you could eat meat, only meat for the rest of your life and be fine. You're always going to find contradictory information out there. Pick and choose your battles. Do what's best for you, and just experiment. Use yourself as an experiment. You're the study. Don't listen to ACSM studies. You are the study. Do what works best for you. And if carnivore is your way, that's great. If vegan is that way for you, that's great. If it's paleo, if it's Mediterranean diet, I still respect you. And if that works for you and you're getting great results and your blood markers are great and you have muscle mass and you're feeling good, terrific. Follow it. But I do suggest everyone do at least some form of fasting every single day, even if it's only 12 hours. Yep.
I think we could all agree. Doesn't matter what you do, just avoid processed food. If you do nothing else, avoid processed food. Who cares what diet you're on? Find what works for you. Whatever's sustainable, right? If it's walking every day, do that. But anyways, Kevin, well, thanks so much for your time again. Please check out, subscribe to our channel. Please comment on this video. Helps others to find our content. And then please make sure you visit us at wildwarriornutrition.com. If you sign up for our newsletter, you get 20% off every order for life. So you're not going to find a better deal on things that you need every month. So we'll hopefully next month, we'll come up with some other stuff to ask you about, Kevin. But again, appreciate your time. Thanks.
Yep. See you later.
Yeah. See you.